Greetings and welcome back, everyone, to Factorio Beginner's Guide, where I am joined as ever by the violent shenryyr. Say hello, shenryyr.
Hello,
Without shooting me.
shenryyr.
That's good. You didn't shoot me. I'm very glad about this. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. We left off last time in the midst of getting ready for red circuit production. We started with the green area, which is necessary before the red area. The green area is now done. We've added a copper wire area specifically so that we'd be able to expand our red circuit production later on. This way
The
we're
green
not...
circuit area we've got can produce a lot of green circuits in a very short space of time, and red circuits tend to take a little while to be made, so we do not need nearly as many green circuits to make a small amount. So we are really planning for the future with this, and as we've mentioned previously, you're going to use a lot of red circuits, so do try to plan with expansion in mind.
Yes. Okay, so we have our green area, we have our copper wires, we have our plastic coming up from the oil, and this is the only three components you need for the red circuits. It's a pretty simple recipe. So up top here...
You may wonder why we've got the copper on its own line, whereas we've got the plastic and the green circuits sharing a line.
Yep.
It is possible to have them all on their own line, but it does make the logistics of getting them into the factory a little bit more complicated. So in this case, because the wires are used twice as much as plastics or electronics on their own, we thought it would be best to have the plastics and electronics sharing a line because they use the same pace, while the copper wire is used at twice that pace.
It's just a simple matter of ratios. It's a 2-to-1 ratio, so we have double the throughput of copper wires to the others. That's all.
Yep.
All right, and why don't we double this up right here? So we're going to put down a few more red circuit production here. What do they need? They just need some blue arms. Okay, blue inserters, no problem. You have some power poles on you?
I do indeed, and I will just quickly get some of the inserters on the other side over here.
Okay.
Then we'll place down the power poles. Right, now this area, as we mentioned, is built with expandability in mind, and it isn't just this. Again, we're going to be using a lot of these. I've tried to really express how much red circuits you're going to need. It's going to be a huge number. So, we're actually built with this in order to expand it even further, and that involves putting them on this side. Now, if you want to start working on putting down, because I don't have enough factories, if you could help me out with that, Shen.
Sure, I've got 23 in my pocket.
Start bringing these up.
Okay.
Now, this can be expanded in a number of ways, because what we've got right here is we've just got some extra factories on this side. We're trying to keep a wide column of these factories, so that way, as we expand further up, we've got a lot of room to grow because we can then extend the length. It's much like our smelting operation, only with factories for this one.
We're going double wide, so we have... it just makes it a lot easier to fit everything into like a square shape on the map. Instead of a really long rectangle, we're just going to have a nice square of production for most things.
Eventually, it'll probably become a rectangle as our needs grow. Unfortunately, you are going to use a lot of these. And as ever, shift right click on a factory, copies what that factory is doing, then shift left click, copy, paste it onto another factory. So it speeds everything up a little bit for you. And there we go.
All right.
All hooked up on this side.
So we've quadrupled our red production. Very nice.
Yeah.
Bring up our...
Let's pop that there.
Our red line here.
And pop this one there.
Perfect.
There we go.
Looks good.
Everything is hooked up. In fact, what we can do on this side is just do that.
And I'm not sure we mentioned it, but the reason why we're doing so much up here and we're bringing the belts down to the middle of the factory is because this is going to go onto the main bus.
Yes. Again, red circuits get used in so many things mid to late game that you're really going to want to be, rather than produce it locally, because as you can see, there's quite a lot of infrastructure involved in making red circuits. And
it's not a small job.
Plastic. I mean, plastic is made with oil, which is quite far away. So, unlike the green circuits, we can't really just make them where we're going to be using them. So it makes sense to have a very large production area of them and then pipe that everywhere else that's going to need them.
Yep. So the first thing we're going to use red circuits for, and the reason why we went for them right now, is because we're getting backed up on oil. We're getting backed up on oil. Everything shuts down. We have to make more storage tanks for the heavy oil. The ratio of the oil production is just all wrong, but we can fix that with a little blue science, and blue science requires red circuitry.
We're actually almost out of things that we can put just red and green science into. I think just so that we've got research ticking over, I'm going to start looking at the electric engine.
Electric engine sounds good.
We'll get that researching now.
Okay. But what we have done down here is we prepared an area for blue science production. So what do we need for blue science? The recipe?
We've got 3 of the 4 things. Batteries, steel, and red circuits. But there is one thing missing. One thing missing
is the smart inserter. And we haven't really talked about it much. We did use one earlier very briefly, but it's a very simple recipe. It takes a fast inserter, which we've already made, and 4 electronic circuits. That's it. Nothing else.
I've basically done almost everything but the last step over here previously in setting up our blue and red inserter manufacturing.
Right.
Unlike most of the inserters in the belts, where I'll often say once you're making them, you may as well just switch over to them. There's not really much point in switching over to green inserters. Smart inserters. They are as fast as the fast inserters. So they are a flat upgrade, but it's an extra step that isn't really necessary. So what I like to do is make them as needed, or just have them made locally if they're going to be used in an assembly machine, and just keep the blue inserters that we're making for just use around the rest of the factory.
Yeah, sounds good. So we're going to basically use the same setup that Aavak used up here, but with one extra step to turn the blue inserters into smart inserters at the end. So basically,
we're not going to have red inserters, though.
No,
that's worth
no
noting.
Reds. So we're going to have a line of factories here. It's going to be very simple. And the line of factories will feed into each other. First factory is for gears. And gears only takes metal plates, iron plates.
Takes 2 per gear to produce at 0.5. Now, the nice thing about this is each of these factories are going to produce at exactly the same speed.
Correct. The second factory will be regular inserters, yellow inserters, and those require electronics, gears, and plates. So we have our plates here, we have our electronics right here, and we have our gears right here. It's a very simple recipe. The third factory is for blue inserters, fast inserters. And what do they take? 2 electronics, 2 plates, and 1 yellow inserter. Again, a very simple recipe.
Yep. I'll plot down. There we go. Fantastic.
And the last one is a smart inserter. Does not need any iron plates, but it does take 1 fast inserter and 4 electronic circuits. So I'm going to give it 2 fast arms here, just so it gets all the circuits it needs. And at the very end here, it's just nice. I love this setup here for fast insert, for smart inserters, because it goes from a gear to an inserter to a blue inserter to a smart inserter. It's just one into the next, and I love that.
It's a really, really simple little setup. And this produces it as fast as you can. The only holdup would be if you couldn't get the raw resources, or, well, the process resources, the electronic circuits and the iron plates down in sufficient quantity, because the factories all produce at the same speed. So assuming that they're all getting the materials that they want, it'll go as fast as it can.
Correct. So this leads directly into blue science. Now that we have our fast inserter, our smart inserters, we have batteries and smart inserters together on one belt, and we have advanced red circuits and steel plates together on the other belt. And those, as you can see, we're pulling together directly from our new main bus, which includes 4 materials. And it's just a really easy merging onto one line. There we go.
Yep. Now, the thing with blue science is they do take 12 seconds per science pack.
Right, they're so long.
Use exactly the same quantity of materials. 1 battery, 1 advanced circuit, 1 smart inserter, and 1 steel plate. So in terms of balancing things, they're actually really, really easy to balance as far as things go, but they do take a long time. So you're going to generally want quite a few of them to keep science ticking along.
Yep. So I'm going to throw a couple down on this side. You want to put some on the other side?
I do not have any factories.
I'll do them for you. There you go.
Okay.
So we're going to start off with 8.
I will put down all of the inserters.
We can always do more than 8 later on, but, 8's a good starting, nice round number. It's a lucky number for some people.
I'll go grab some extra long-handed inserters. I'll be
Oh,
right back.
I have some for you, no problem.
Oh, fantastic.
Do you have some power poles?
I do indeed. One of those there, one there, and we'll have some on the outside as well. And over here we should be good. There we go. So it's just a matter of pulling from the two belts. They are split belts, so it's all going into the right place. And then down here, we're going to merge them onto this new ring. You'll notice that I have brought all of our science facilities. In fact, we've expanded the amount of science facilities from where we used to have them. If we wander all the way over there, I'll just quickly show that we've not really done much more other than belt them all the way across to the new area, since it made sense to put them where the more complicated science was being constructed. But over here, we've just doubled up the amount of red science that we're producing, because previously we were making do with just 4 factories, but now we've upgraded that to 8 to match the 8 green science and the 8 blue science that we've got. That is not a particularly good amount of factories, because the red science only takes 5 seconds to make, the green science 6 seconds, and the blue science 12 seconds. So realistically speaking, if we want to balance this out properly, we would ultimately want to have about twice as many blue science factories as we've got green science factories. But this works out okay for now.
Okay, so we've left a little area here for the eventual final type of science, which would be purple science. Purple science, turns out, is very easy to produce. We'll talk about it when it's ready to do, but we're not going to require a giant assembly area like you will for blue science. Purple science requires just one little factory. That's it. Okay, so that is blue science. You can see everything is ticking along. All these little factories are churning away. They're making as many science pack 3s as they can. And we've relegated it to just the inside track. Purple will be on the outside track when we get there.
Yep.
So now that we have blue science being produced, let's use it. Let's get oil. Oil Mark II.
Oil cracking is incredibly important for us, because we have had to expand our heavy oil storage yet again.
Right.
Because we were backed up on that, so it wasn't making any of the other types of products. So we're going to research this. It's not going to take us too long. Only 75 research operations, which each takes 30 seconds. But we've obviously spent some time increasing our lab efficiency. We've got quite a few labs. So as you can see, we're making our way through that very quickly. Now, this allows us for 2 things for us. Advanced oil processing. We take 10 crude oil and 5 water in the refinery instead of just crude oil, and it'll split it into 1 heavy oil, 4.5 light oil, and 5.5 petroleum gas. That is a much better ratio of the refined components than what we've got at the moment, because we just use them in a much closer ratio to that.
Right.
Furthermore, it allows us to crack. Now, cracking, for example, you could take petroleum gas with 3 water and 3 light oil and make 2 petroleum gas. But the one we're really interested in is 3 water, 4 heavy oil to make 3 light oil, which we're using for our fuel blocks. So it's going to give us even more fuel for our factory.
I've just noticed our copper production is very, very low. I believe turning on our blue science has caused us to produce more batteries. It's also caused us to produce a lot more copper wire. So that means our copper facility is working to the limit. But this is a really good test to see what part of your factory... I'm sorry?
I will say that our copper facility isn't actually working to the limit. The smelters themselves are backed up.
It's the buffer. It's the buffer that's just not up to the task right now. We have massively expanded our copper production, as you can see, but our buffer is just not up to snuff. We need more buffer.
Well, one of the things that we could do, and I know this is going to be crazy.
It's crazy.
We can expand the buffer, as you're pointing out there, or alternatively, what we could do instead, if you bear with me a moment, I'm going to place this there and then this there. Now, don't...
What?
Well... Actually, what we'll do instead... I know, I'm a madman. It's been said many times. We are going to go in there, and instead of having a buffer, just have the buffer on the bottom.
Oh, have a pass-through? Oh, that's a good idea.
Because we're having an awful lot of trouble with our buffer at the moment, and we could just do this.
Yeah. No, I like the idea a lot. The pass-through makes sense.
we should probably do similar with our iron,
The
which,
iron, yeah.
as you can see, is
We've expanded our
very,
iron buffer just a bit. We doubled
just
it.
a tiny
We
little
doubled
bit.
it.
I think I'm going to go ahead and make a pass-through for that.
Yeah, I like this idea a lot.
I lack the ability to pick things up. I am full of iron.
Okay, well, while he's doing that, I'm going to go down here and get excited about doing some advanced oil processing. I've got a whole bunch of, what are they called, chemical plants in my pocket. I'm building a few more. And that's to start cracking all of this heavy oil into light
we are
oil.
starting to run low on power a little bit there, but it looks okay now.
I tell you what we can do when we run low on power. We can start looking for a place to put down some solar panels. I've been eyeballing the map. Look at this giant space up here. There's barely any biters up there. We could put some solar in there.
What are you thinking about?
North of our base is this giant expanse. I know you were talking to me about south of our oil production. There's this giant expanse, and it's already been walled off. So south would be good as well. All right, so we're almost ready for the oil. Oh, and it's just I can't wait to take the recipe over. Oh, actually, our crude, Aavak, our crude is dying. We need more crude. Now, if we mouse,
these pumps have been working bloody hard for a very long time.
If we mouse over these pumps, they're down to 0.2 per second, which is extremely low. It's not as low as they'll go. They'll go down to 0.1 at the very end of their lifespan. But they'll never run out, as we've talked about before. But since they're down to 0.2, we need to start looking to hook up a new oil field.
Definitely time for us to sort that out.
Yeah, so we'll do that soon.
I will do it now if I can.
Oh.
I've got 2 pump jacks, so...
we can just move some of these beakers out of the way. Yeah. I will gladly move your beakers.
Thank you very much. Such a
not
kind
there.
fella. There we go.
Let's get squirrely. Aavak hates it when I get squirrely like this. I just don't care. He's over there having a fit.
So squirrely.
Oh, goodness.
Bye.
But yeah, even just a few little oil fields like that, just a tiny little amount will still make a big difference if you're down to your 0.2s and 0.1s. Okay, so advanced oil processing is done. So we can go to our oil refinery and we go to here, set current recipe, and we switch over to the advanced processing, which gives us 1/3 the amount of heavy, 50% more light oil, and a little less than 50% more petroleum gas. But it's really, really, really highly efficient. And I was right. I got the oil and the water on the right-hand side. I always get that wrong. So when you switch over the recipe, it requires you to add water. So you don't want to hook up oil to both sides of your what are they called? Oil facility. What is it called? Oil refinery. That's what it is. My goodness. Words. Words. All right, but yeah, we did prepare by having one of the pipes dedicated to water, but we have not hooked it up to water yet. So where's the local water facility? I see one in the south. So I will hook that up.
Pumping some new oil down your way.
Sounds good. Let me get my offshore pump for this oil. I have a rock to shoot. Cheer me while I shoot. I'm victorious.
Well done. An epic battle.
I know, right?
Which will likely be sung about in sagas for generations.
When Shen got the water.
There we go. Right, I've got
rock to shoot.
Fair few, 4 exactly, pumps pumping down to you right now.
Sounds good.
I may as well just remove that, honestly.
I need one more pipe.
Yeah.
There we go.
It's not going to be a huge amount, but it's going to help out a little bit.
Okay, water has been hooked up. All 4 refineries are working full blast, and I see Aavak has hooked up some crude.
Indeed I have.
Looks good to me.
Right, while you're looking at that, what shall we research? Now, we've got a couple of new things. Robotics is there. Don't cast your eyes towards robotics. That's for later.
Cars? Let's do something that requires blue science.
Yes, let's do something that requires blue science. Let's have a look. We could start looking at explosives. We could look at the electric energy distribution. So we could aim for the substation, which is a very, very nice component there. We could look at flammables, which also builds into rocketry and flamethrowers. What else can we have a look at? I mean, there's something that I really want to get to. And that would be Military 3, because Military 3 unlocks a few new things. One of them is the combat shotgun.
Oh, I
like
love the combat shotgun.
We're going to need flammables and explosives. So how about we go... Well, we're going to have to go through both of those. They're not going to be too long to research. They only require green and red.
So military 3, I'm looking at it right now, requires rocketry. Rocketry, as Aavak just said, requires flammables and explosives, which we can do right now. So let's get on it. Let's get cracking. You got it. It's already on it.
Going.
It's already on it. Okay, so we have our heavy oil. Let's get cracking. We have the recipe. I've got 10 chemical plants? No, I have 26 chemical plants.
Well, now, bear in mind, you do not want to get rid of all of your heavy oil. You are going to use it for a few things.
Correct.
So one thing we could do is just keep a dedicated tank for heavy oil.
Yeah, I have no problem with that.
I think that might be a good idea.
What I'm going to do, and the way we're going to do that, Aavak, bear with me here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to unhook this so that these tanks in the south is what I'm going to crack into light oil for now.
Okay.
And this tank up here we'll leave untouched. We can use that for lubricant.
Okay, that's cool. The other way to do it, just for those who may be interested, you can, once you've built electric engines, now it does take some time, we'll be getting to that later on to make the electric engines, but you can make a pump. Now, a pump obviously gives preference to pushing liquids in a certain direction, whereas right now our pipes mainly rely on pressure, so it can move in both directions. But you can set up like a little reserve tank with a pump pumping directly into it, so you know that once it's in that tank, it's not coming back. That way, you can kind of have this reserved area just kind of hidden away from view of your oil crackers.
All right,
let's see what Shen's up to down here.
I'm setting up some chemical plants
Something nefarious,
for heavy into light oil cracking. You can see the required inputs are heavy oil on the left side and water on the right. So thankfully we have some water down here, which Aavak is hooking up for us. Very good. And we should have no trouble just getting these done. Yeah, exactly. Oh, I'm out of pipe again. Man, I keep running out of pipe. It's a good thing it's really quick.
Yep. There we go. Do I have any more pipe? No, but we are actually producing pipe, so we might as well go grab it. Thank you for putting rocketry on there. That's very useful indeed.
It's such a quick research, isn't it?
Yeah. Now, bear in mind that we're not actually using blue science right now, but it still hasn't filled up the belt. Blue science it takes time to make. It really does. You shouldn't underestimate just how long it's going to take you to get it all. I'm going to grab 50 of these. This train is literally doing nothing for us right now.
Aw. Because, that was the stone train? Yeah.
Yes. I think what we can do instead... actually, let me...
Stop
the train.
Stony.
There we go. I've just turned it off for now.
Stony.
There we go. There we are. Bring that down onto my hotbar.
Got it. Okay.
And then we want to take this up the top.
So we need to hook up the heavy oil line. Now this is where you need to keep your pipes well managed. You need to know where they're going.
Sneaky.
Yeah. So in this case, we have a lot of undergrounds, which we are using to avoid connecting.
Actually.
And connecting what do you call them? Fluids that aren't the same. So we want all the fluids to be the same. In this case, we have heavy oil draining into these chemical plants on only the left side. Got to be careful that these pipes don't touch. And this is where it's nice to have undergrounds next to each other, because undergrounds next to each other do not pass liquids through. But overground pipes next to each other would, and they would mix these pipes, and you wouldn't want to mix these liquids. Never, 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 never. Do not mix. Do not mix under penalty of death.
It's not quite that severe. It just means you've got a lot of work. Because you gotta unmix them.
All right, so at the opposite side here, we have light oil coming out. And light oil, we want to go into our oil tanks up here. So I will run an underground this away.
And I will hook these up for you.
Looks good to me.
There we go.
Perfect.
I will get all of these connected together.
And this is something that we are only using the heavy oil from these disconnected storage tanks. These are no longer connected to our main oil refineries here. We can connect them up later if we wish, We might even remove them if they completely drain, and we could directly connect up these heavy
Or-
oil tanks instead.
If this one completely fills, we will likely hook it up in order to allow
Correct.
the oil processing to continue. Which is why it's sometimes useful to have them, the main source of the heavy oil being the one that's cracked, whilst pumping some heavy oil into a reserve tank, specifically for lubricant or other uses.
Definitely.
Because that makes sure that you're going to always have oil being processed. This just gives us an extra layer of micromanaging, but it's nothing too
Hey, Aavak.
for us.
Military 3.
Oh, that is glorious. Right, now that is going to give us the combat shotgun. Now, this is a biter-based destroyer. If you put some decent shells in this, you are going to wreck face. Also, we'll have the poison capsule and the slowdown capsule. Poison capsule, as the name implies, you throw it, it poisons an area. It's basically a damage over time AoE, and it'll linger for quite some time. Slowdown, again, as the name suggests, it'll just slow things down. Poison capsules, in combination with the combat shotgun, can decimate biter forces with impunity of ease.
Well, I think we've made some good progress here today.
Indeed, we have, yes.
Holy crap. I see blue science on our glorious science loop over there.
Indeed,
We have heavy oil cracking into light oil. We have red circuitry on the main belt, ready to be used for any recipe we wish.
And it will be used.
Oh, yes.
Again, it's going to be used a lot.
And again, we've designed a lot of this part of the base for expandability. So if we wish to produce more later on, we can.
Yeah. I mean, there are certain parts that are not as expandable as they could be. For example, this area up here, we can't really expand this any further by taking these electronic circuit production further down. Like,
Right.
we can't expand it as we have for the red circuits. But we should be okay with what we're producing. Later on, we can move things around if necessary. It's not going to be a large redesign for that one.
Yeah,
but
and
it is worth bearing that in mind.
And don't be afraid to move stuff around in your factory. If you've built yourself into a corner, it happens. It's not a big deal. Just pick it up, move it somewhere else where it's much more comfortable, like we have with the science down here. It's not a problem. If we need to move this production area for our smart inserters, we can do that too. Double it up if we wish. Not a problem.
Now, before we wrap things up here, I'm just going to note that we have now got science that requires alien science packs. It's starting
Where's
to show
this?
up.
Which one?
The Military 4 tech
Military
requires alien science packs.
Yes.
Now, this is what is going to be using the loot that we've been getting from alien bases. But
the cotton
only-
candy.
Yeah, only once we've researched alien technology. Go figure. It isn't a difficult research, and it will use alien artifacts to produce alien, or rather purple science beakers. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to research that one. It's a very simple one. It doesn't unlock anything but the alien science packs, but it'll allow us to actually start filling up the other side of this science belt. And at that point, every technology will be open to us. It's just a matter of researching the prerequisite levels of technology and having, obviously, the time and resources available to make the beakers. But once we've got that, everything is then open to you. We are definitely squarely in the mid-game, I would say, from that point on.
Oh yes, definitely. Now, is it just me? Because they've changed the alien technology icon. It actually used to be the UFO from XCOM, and now it is a canister with a biter in it. It looks like it's being digested by some yellow fluid.
That is quite true. Yes, I approve of this new art style. Now, in the next episode, we are likely going to be looking at the different technologies, perhaps even Military 4. I doubt it, though. There are other things that we can focus our attention on. Namely, we wanted to try and improve the infrastructure of our base just a little bit. There's quite a lot of things that we can improve here. We are seeing a little bit of throughput trouble, and perhaps in the fairly near future, we will start looking at robotics, because that does solve a lot of logistical problems.
Sounds good to me, but that'll have to be next time. So thanks for watching, everyone.
Take care, everyone.
Have a good day.